Welcome to Whole CEO with Lisa G. I'm the best-selling author of The Boss Weight Loss. I'm bringing you the top tips to be unstoppable. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to actually pull up a chair with today's top experts in mindset, weight loss, business, and more. Learn our top tips so that you can have more energy, be fit and resilient, feel unstoppable, unshakable, and unbreakable. He is the CEO and co-founder of GreenPal, the mobile app that connects homeowners with local lawn care professionals. GreenPal has been called the Uber for lawn care by Entrepreneur Magazine and is doing over $20 million a year in sales. Before starting GreenPal, he founded Peachtree Inc., one of the largest landscaping companies in the state of Tennessee, growing to over $10 million a year in annual revenue before it was acquired. Welcome, Bryan Clayton.
Lisa, great to be here. Thanks for having me on your show.
I'm so excited to sit down and talk to you about business. So let's get started on some of the topics for today. I'd like to jump right in with how can we grow a business from 0 to 8 figures with no outside capital in uncertain times?
Yeah, I think a lot of times it comes down to just having the long view, playing the long game, and almost breaking it down into levels. Maybe like a video game almost. Like 22 years of entrepreneurship for me, I look back sometimes and it feels like almost Super Mario Brothers back in the old days. Like 10 levels, just work through one level at a time. Don't worry about anything else until you get through the level you're on. And I think that hangs up a lot of entrepreneurs because they're worried about like level 9 or 10 things. They're worried about like Bowser when they're really just on level 1. And so for us, we've built GreenPal from 0 to 300,000 customers, over 20 million a year in revenue when we started from 0. And we really just focused on little things for a very long period of time. We wanted to get our first 20 customers. How do we get our first 20 customers? Well, we passed out door hangers all over Nashville, Tennessee, where we live. And we basically stuck that out till we got 100 customers. And then we got 1,000 and then 10,000, then 100,000. So I think if you can break it down to small levels, it can help manage your psychology through the journey.
I love that. I believe the same thing in health and wellness or any goal, really. I think you got to start with one step at a time and master that, then get to the next step. And I've been so guilty as an entrepreneur of trying to be an octopus and try to do 8 things at once. And it's literally impossible. Even with help, it's hard to try to do it all and go to the top of the game. So those are like amazing. And that's super amazing advice. I want to also ask you, because I know you built a tech company. So how can we build a tech company even if we don't know how to code and tech just freaks us out?
Yeah, it was definitely a hard transition for me. I went from running a landscaping business, about as blue collar and hand to hand as it gets, and I had to reinvent myself as a tech entrepreneur. And I think one of the main things going through that journey of evolving from a traditional business owner to a tech entrepreneur was just not to believe my own BS. And what I mean by that is you don't have to have a title behind your name like engineer or product person or designer or data analysis or something like that. But you do kind of have to learn the 80-20 of these things. And for me, literally YouTube University has been one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. I'm always taking some kind of class online, always listening to some sort of presentation or talk or tutorial or webinar, trying to learn skills that I need to play this game of tech entrepreneur. And these days, what a great time to be alive. You can learn anything you need to learn online, in most cases for free. And so I think a lot of times founders will think, well, I'm not an engineer, so I can't code up a mobile app. Well, don't believe your own BS. You can become an engineer. You can learn the skills you need to learn and over time become what you need to be in order to play the game that you're trying to play. And that's one thing that I learned, starting GreenPal, was that I can pretty much learn anything I need to learn to play this game.
I love that you mentioned YouTube University. I really learned so much on YouTube myself. I find that as an entrepreneur, I didn't put a high priority on watching TV, but I do put a high priority on learning. And I absorb as a visual learner a lot better on YouTube than trying to get through all books and
Right.
all these courses of people like teaching you how to do stuff. And also too, can people hire out the tech if they're just not willing to learn and just get an outside team?
I made that mistake.
Oh,
And
that's not good.
It depends. So if you have a traditional business and you're trying to layer in some technology and you can certainly outsource these things to people who know how to do it. But if you're trying to invent a brand new tech product, it's really difficult. And I made this mistake when we were first starting GreenPal. I didn't know how to code, so we hired a development shop to build what we thought GreenPal should be, and we wasted almost $200,000 doing it.
Oh my gosh.
Looking back, it's almost like trying to start a restaurant, but you don't have any chef. You don't have any recipes. You don't have any sort of way to make proprietary recipes, and you don't have any means of cooking. Like it's as crazy as it sounds. Like that's what starting a tech company is if you don't know how to build software. And so we made that mistake, and it really was painful. But we learned how to write code, learned how to build software. It took about 2 years, but then after we got the skills we needed, we were able to build out a team around us and build out a solid team of engineers after we knew kind of just enough to be dangerous.
Well, I love the fact that you talk about failing forward. I've made so many mistakes as an entrepreneur myself and had bad teams that have done bad things and obviously been a waste of money, and everybody promises you the moon and sometimes they steal all your intellectual property, and I've bounced back from that. And I understand what you're saying is you actually basically have to learn how to crawl before you can walk, before you can run, in that you need to understand the basics before you can hire it out. Is that correct?
So true. It's so true. And when you're hiring somebody, whether it's in-house or a freelancer or an agency or a contractor, you're delegating.
Right.
And when you delegate, you can delegate from abdication, which means like, I don't know how to do this. It scares me. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to learn how to do it. You handle it. Usually that doesn't work out. What you want to do is you want to get to a place where you can delegate from stewardship. So it's like,
Wow.
this is how we do it here. This is why we do it this way. This is like how we grade quality. This is when we expect it back. This is how much we think it should cost. Here's our standard of excellence. Here's our unique way to approach it. Like, now I want you to follow this process that I have laid out for you. And therefore I'm delegating this to you from a standpoint of stewardship. And so you want to go from abdication to stewardship. And as simple as that sounds, most of us delegate from abdication, and it could be anything like bookkeeping. Oh, I hate bookkeeping. I hate staring at like profit and loss statements and balance sheets and spreadsheets. And so therefore I'm going to delegate that because I don't like doing it. Well, that can get you in trouble. Because if you can't read a P&L, can't read a basic balance sheet, then you really don't know the health of your business, and you don't really know how you're doing. And then next thing you know, you wake up and you can't make payroll. I've made that mistake. And so a lot of times you really have to be like pretty good at a lot of different things as a founder, as a business owner, in order to understand what's going on at different places in the business. You have to be able to inspect what you expect. And if you can't inspect it at a level in which you understand it, then it's really hard to delegate it with any sort of success.
That makes a lot of sense, because I think it goes from the beginning of our conversation of when you're trying to start a business, bootstrapping, trying to get to the end goal. Well, you can't get to the end goal if you can't start, and you can't start unless you understand the basics of your business, the nuts and bolts and the stuff that we don't want to understand, like spreadsheets, P&L, taxes, and technology. Like that stuff isn't sexy. Like you just want to have all the checks rolling in. But you're saying before you get to the point where you can scale your business to millions, you have to understand how it works so that you can delegate.
That's right.
Not fun stuff.
That's right. And there's really no way to fast forward through it. There's no way to skip through that part. you really kind of have to roll up your sleeves and get 80-20 good at all of these things. And so the 80-20 rule is like 20% of the knowledge gets you 80% of the acumen. And you can get up to speed pretty quick on pretty much anything if you're willing to sit down and learn it. And that's one thing that I've learned about myself, particularly building GreenPal, was that I was going to have to work on myself and level up and learn these skills. And, in business, you're doing three things at once. You're working on the business, you're working in the business, and you're working on yourself. And if you are doing those three things, throughout the week, maybe Monday through Friday is in the business, just, keeping the engines, keeping the trains running on time, answering phone calls, running the business. Maybe Saturday is working on the business, developing processes, systems, routines, standard operating procedures. Then maybe Sunday is working on yourself, reading books, going to YouTube University, listening to podcasts like this one. And so that's how I've done it. I have laid out time during the week to do each of these three things.
I love the way you're so scheduled and you calendarize yourself and that you have the discipline. I mean, it really does take discipline to build a business from the ground up, doesn't it? Like, you have certain hours in the day where you do certain tasks and
That's
you
right.
really, I love the 80-20 rule. And I want to ask you one more question about how can we build a growth flywheel in our business, no matter what size it is, to go from bootstrapping to several $1 million and then profitably exit?
Yeah, every business needs to have some sort of flywheel at its core that's causing it to move forward. Well, not every business, every successful business. And so
Right.
one of my favorite books is Good to Great by Jim Collins. And he invented this, not invented, but kind of codified this concept of the flywheel effect. And so the flywheel effect is the standard thing that happens in your business that causes it to grow. And this could be something as simple as let's say you have like a hair salon or something like that. And part of the workflow of the client is, okay, well, when they get there, you give them a glass of wine, then they sit down, they get their hair done, and after that, they're happy. And then maybe part of that workflow is getting some sort of content around before and afters and getting that on TikTok or Instagram or Pinterest. And so that is like a workflow that occurs inside of that hair salon, because then more people are exposed to the services. And as more and more good work is happening inside of it, it grows itself. So that's a very simple concept of a flywheel that you can implement it in something as simple as a hair salon. And so no matter what business you're doing, you have to look at, okay, what is the workflow that's occurring inside of this business, and how can I create a flywheel where the more good business is occurring inside of my operation, the bigger it grows naturally is on its own. That's how you go from 500K to $1 million, from $1 million to 5 million, 5 to 10.
I love your flywheel concept. And I know that you are on Instagram, and where can people find you, Bryan?
Yeah, so anybody listening to this doesn't want to cut your own grass, just download GreenPal in the App Store or Play Store. You can just push a button and get your lawn mowed. And anybody who wants to hit me up, you can reach me on Instagram, Bryan M. Clayton. Just drop me a DM there.
And GreenPal is that all in the US?
Nationwide, United States. Yep. Every major city. If you live in a town with more than 30,000 people, we can service you.
Thanks, Bryan. Thanks for being a great guest on Whole CEO with Lisa G.
Lisa, thanks for having me on. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for coming to Whole CEO with Lisa G. After over 20 years helping people lose weight and get fit, I'm so excited to announce that I found the missing link with my coaching. Message me if you want to learn how to look better, feel better, and go faster with a master. Lisa G at lisagfit.com.